I'm Jack, host of the new comedic news and pop culture podcast, The Daily Zeitgeist from How Stuff Works. A little bit about me. I've listened to almost every episode of Stuff You Should Know and Stuff You Missed in History Class. I'm the co-founder and was the editor-in-chief of Cracked for the last 11 years. And our show is basically the day's news and pop culture filtered through a brain that contains all the information that entails.
And I'm Miles Gray, Jack's co-host, a former political operative and pop culture addict, like something I actually take medication for.
He does. And sometimes he's a bunch of different people, like Michael McDonald.
Tell him he's a stranger.
Japanese radio DJ.
Minasan ohayou gozaimasu, Midas desu.
And Making a Murderer's Brendan Dassey.
Yeah. No.
Just a fair warning, guys, you're gonna learn a lot, but some of the content can get a little edgy, so not for young ears, but trust us, it's all in good fun. So go to Apple Podcasts and listen and subscribe to The Daily Zeitgeist. It's really good, is our catchphrase. We're still working on it.
Get in touch with technology with TechStuff from HowStuffWorks.com.
Hey there, everyone, and welcome to TechStuff. I'm Jonathan Strickland, and I have a special guest here today. Special because it's always special when he joins the show. Ben Bolin, welcome back to TechStuff.
Thanks. Thanks so much for having me on, Jonathan. I have two things, though. One is it still special, even though I've been on the show a couple of times now?
It's always going to be special.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah.
I think that makes my day, man. That's
There
very
you go.
kind. Second thing,
Yeah.
just full disclosure, this is, for the listeners, this is a little bit unusual for me, definitely, and maybe for you as well. But I think it's going to be a fun ride.
Yeah, and what he means by that is, and I tweeted about this before coming into the studio, this is an episode in which I have specifically requested my co-host do absolutely no research on the topic whatsoever.
I got no idea what's going on.
Yeah, you only know what the topic is, and that topic is expensive consumer technology because, you know, we're ramping up to the holiday season, 2015. And obviously, you know, you have to start looking at the people in your life and what sort of gifts you need to give them.
Or merit-based.
Exactly. And I thought, well, what if one, you and I were making the crazy kind of money that PewDiePie is making on YouTube? Because as we record this, the day we record this is also the day that Forbes released what the top YouTube performers are earning or what they guess they are earning.
Oh.
It made me question all of my decisions in life up to this point. But we are not making that money. But if we were making that money, and if there were spectacularly awesome people in our lives, maybe these are the sort of things we might look at in order to say, you mean something to me, Mr., Mrs., Miss, whatever.
Sure, yeah.
So, but I didn't want Ben to know about any of these because I want to get his actual reaction. Plus, I'm going to quiz him a couple times. Not really quiz. I'm just going to get an idea, see if he can guess what some of these things are based upon the names. Now, some of them are evident by the name.
Okay.
So not all of them will be a guesswork, but I may have you guess occasionally what it might be. And then maybe I'll even ask you ballpark figure how much you think it might be.
Let's do it. I love it. Listeners, just so you guys know, one of the reasons that I'm the best/worst sidekick for Jonathan in this type of episode is because I am a notorious cheapskate. I am personally offended. Car Stuff listeners probably know this, but I am personally offended if I think something is too expensive.
Now, also in the interest of full disclosure, I was not aware of that when I asked Ben to do this, but it does make me very happy because it means that even if everything else goes wrong, your reactions are going to save this episode. So
I'm already upset.
Here we go. Here I decided to go with a real doozy first, and it's one you may have actually talked about on a different show.
Okay.
So that gives you a hint already. Can you guess what the Element Palazzo Superior is?
Element Palazzo Superior. I'm thinking it's a car.
Very close.
What is it?
It is an RV.
Oh, well, come on.
Also known, well, it was just a guess. I mean, like one of those things, like it might have been something that you and Scott have covered for car stuff. In fact,
this is familiar, though.
I should ask Scott if he's heard of it when, cause I'm actually peek behind the curtain. After I do this episode with you,
Right.
I'm recording another episode after this, and
Right.
Scott's going to be my guest host on that
And
one.
we're starting this episode late because Scott and I were in the studio earlier.
Yeah, so it's just a Jonathan, Scott, and Ben, like, smorgasbord
The
here.
three amigos. Well, Noel's here too, and
That's true.
listeners, you're here, so that would make. I guess it's the million something amigos now.
Right. So the Element Palazzo Superior is an RV. It is known as the most luxurious mobile home in the world. It is also sometimes referred to as a mansion on wheels. Now, I'm not going to make you guess how much this is because it would just be unfair. This monstrosity. Well, let me explain what it is first
Okay.
before I give you
Sure.
what the cost is. So the driver's compartment, known as the cockpit, actually referred to as the cockpit, was inspired by the design of jets. It has a panoramic windshield. It has an adjustable tint on that windshield, T-I-N-T, like you can go to 2 different stages of darkness on it with a flip of a switch. The whole thing is made out of carbon fiber, so that means it's incredibly strong and incredibly light. And by incredibly light, I mean it's a mere 28 tons. It has 732 square feet of living space, which is 68 square meters.
Is it okay? Is it street legal?
Yes. Also, it's one of those things that it expands outward.
Oh, I see.
So,
I see.
like, when you stop wherever you're going to stop, then you hit it. And so, in fact, when you put it into camper mode, it nearly doubles its width. The normal width is 8.4 feet or 2.55 meters. When you expand it, it goes to 16.4 feet. So almost twice as much. And that's 5 meters of width. It has a rooftop deck. It has radiant floor heating. It's got refrigerators, a wine cabinet, a coffee machine, a sink, a freezer, an ice maker, a stovetop, a master bedroom with king-sized bed, a dressing table, closets, and more. It has a 16 square foot or 1.5 square meter rain shower with light therapy features built into the shower stall.
Light therapy.
Light therapy. So you can get that nice blue mist going. It has 2 42-inch televisions. It has onboard Wi-Fi, satellite TV, a custom audio system, ambient light control, and more. And you, Ben Bolin, can be the proud owner of an Element Palazzo Superior for the low price
Here we go.
of $3.1 million.
For an RV.
For an RV. Yes.
Okay, so is the Wi-Fi service included in that?
Do you get an ISP for the $3.1 million?
Wow, 3.1 million.
Yeah. All right. Think about some of the homes in Atlanta that are in the $1 to $2 million range. We're talking some pretty big houses along some very choice real estate, like along Ponce de Leon Avenue, for example, or along along the Chattahoochee. You're going to find some mansions there that are going to start creeping in around this 3.1 million, maybe even some that top out over 3.1 million.
Sure.
But that's a full mansion, right? This is
Yeah.
a 732 square foot RV.
I gotta tell you, I live in a pretty small place.
Yeah.
Well, I also don't pay $3 million for it, but it also doesn't roll.
Right. That's true. I mean, with this, your home could be wherever you park.
Now, it's interesting because I recently had a pretty frank discussion with a Car Stuff listener when I was talking about how, as a kid, it was always my dream to have an RV, right? And I thought I had this view that I would just live in this thing, drive everywhere, and be cool.
Yeah. And food would magically appear in the cupboard.
Right.
Yeah.
The gas would never be empty. But what I've learned from people who are in the RV cultures is a lot more of just driving to a destination and camping.
Yeah.
Because people who like to drive don't really like to drive RVs.
No, they are monstrosities on the road. I imagine it has to be incredibly stressful because, I mean, I assume you have to have a bus driver's license to even operate one.
Right. Yeah.
And then on top of that, just think about what it's like navigating through traffic with a regular sized vehicle. It's got to be a nightmare with something that large.
3 million. So Jonathan, would you ever, so let's say you're on tour
Okay, yeah, all right. Let's say I am somehow filthy rich.
Would you take one of these behemoths or would you just go with a charter bus?
I'd go with the charter bus, dude. First of all, you know me, I'm not a driver at all. So,
right.
So the idea of this, the appeal of this is lost on me. But I would prefer to travel someplace and stay at a hotel than to go camp. I'm not a camper either.
You would have a driver.
I would have a driver.
At this point, if you can afford this thing, you would
if I'd reached that level of ridiculous luxury, I would have a driver. Yeah, I would, or I would have a driverless car. One of the two. Those would be one of those things I would have.
And I want to be completely honest with you. Mm-hmm. I appreciate it. But don't get me this.
Okay. All right. I will mark it off the list. Well, here, how about I hit you with this one?
All right.
Let's see if you can guess what this is based upon the name. Now, this is a little different from some of the others. A lot of the other ones I'm talking about are relatively new, but this is actually an old thing that has been sold more than once. So that'll give you a little hint. It's not going to be like a computer or anything like that.
Okay.
The Patek Philippe Henry Graves Super Complication.
Ah, yes, one of the most legendarily sophisticated watches.
Very good, Ben Bolin. Yes.
Thank you, Jonathan.
That is absolutely correct. It was, it's a pocket watch, and it was designed by the Swiss company, Patek Philippe, in 1933, for Henry Graves Jr., who was a banker at the time. And Henry Graves Jr. was in a bit of a competition with another gentleman whom you've also, I'm sure, talked about on Car Stuff, James Ward Packard.
Oh, yeah. Is this a competition to have the
most complicated watch? Yes.
Right.
They were constantly trying to one up one another with their various luxury accoutrements, and watches were one of the ways they were kind of showing off. And so Henry Graves commissioned Patek Philippe, the Swiss watchmaker company, to build the world's most complicated watch at that time. It took 3 years to design and 5 years to make it. Now keep in mind, this is before computer-assisted design. This is all human design, right?
Wow, yeah.
It's made of 18-karat gold, and it's considered to be the most complex pocket watch that was made without computer assistance ever.
Okay.
And it has 24 different functions. And here are some of the functions that are included. It keeps time.
Oh, okay.
That's number one. It gives you the time of sunset and sunrise each day.
And it's mechanical.
This is all mechanical. Wow. Yeah, this is pre-digital, 1933. Right. It has a perpetual calendar on it, so it has the mechanics in it to keep accurate what day it is. It has days of the month, days of the week. It has a stars chart. It has phases of the moon.
Wow.
Charted on it. It has a stopwatch. It has a 30-minute recorder, meaning it'll go off after 30 minutes, and a 12-hour recorder as well. It has chimes and the original price tag when it was sold. Okay, this is just the original price tag.
All right, okay.
For Henry Graves was $15,000. Now, we have to adjust that for inflation.
Yeah.
So in today's money, that'd be about $202,000.
Wow.
That, my friend, would be a bargain based upon what people have actually paid for this thing since then.
In auctions.
Yes. So Sotheby's got it in auction, and they sold it twice, in fact. The first time they sold it was in July 2010 when Sheikh Saud bin Mohammed bin Ali Al Thani of the Qatari royal family purchased it for a cool $11 million.
First off, great pronunciation.
Thank you.
Secondly, I am profoundly offended.
Well,
a watch.
He did have to return it because
it's a work of art,
he incurred so much debt that he was forced to return it to Sotheby's.
Oh.
Yeah. So then Sotheby's sold it again in 2014 for $24 million.
Sotheby's, are they going to work with us? It sounds like this is a great racket. I mean, business.
So $24 million. Now it is a one of a kind.
Yeah,
it is
unique.
The world's most complicated pocket watch that was made, by human alone. So there are some elements to it that you realize, all right, well, this is not just because, this isn't just a brand or just one of many of this thing. This is a one of a kind thing. But a lot of people have said, clearly the value of this now is in the perception of that thing, of the owning this makes me special.
Makes me part of the story.
Right. That the fact that I have the money to spend on something like this, it's like a status thing.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Certainly far beyond its intrinsic value, which is hard to, first of all, whenever we talk about value, it gets all kind of wibbly wobbly anyway, right?
For sure, yes.
Because it's just whatever we put in stake, like what we think of, like what would I be willing to pay for this thing?
Mm-hmm.
And then the more down that rabbit hole you get, the more you realize everything is a lie. So,
that escalated quickly.
So here's another one. Let's see if you can guess what this is. Cause you've done really well. You got the super complication, which blew my mind that you knew that. So how about the Vertu Pure Jet Red Gold?
Vertu?
Pure Jet Red Gold. Now,
I know what this is.
Jet Red Gold would tell you some of the features of this thing. So what is it?
Is it a mobile phone?
Oh my gosh, Ben Bolin, 2 for 2 so far. Yes. The Vertu Pure Jet Red Gold is a smartphone. Can you guess how, all right, it's not in the $1 million range. I'm going to knock that out, but can you guess how much money this phone might cost? Now, this is not a one-of-a-kind phone either.
Okay.
This is a phone that if you had the money, you could buy it, and then if someone else had the money, they could buy it too.
Well, I remember hearing about this one, and again, Scout's honor, I did not do any research.
And to be fair, they make a line of luxury phones. So you may have heard about one of them. This was the most expensive one I could find right now.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, because all I know is that they look kind of ugly.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna. I want to be honest.
I'm with you on that one.
But I'm so bad at this. You know, watching Price is Right used to just
it's tough.
Send me into anxiety attacks.
It's tough.
Is it $200,000?
No, nowhere near that crazy.
Oh,
all right. Go down by an order of magnitude.
Is it $20,000?
19,000.
Oh,
so yeah, very close.
But still, I'm just for a second, that psychology of comparative pricing.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's great. Let's get some.
Oh, 19,000 is a steal, man. Let's order them for the office. We should all have office Vertu Pure Jet Red Gold phones. Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah. Now there have been obviously some ridiculous like one-off electronics devices where people have just like Swarovski crystals and diamonds and stuff. But this is one where you can actually, like, this is a line of phones. Like if you wanted to go and get an iPhone, you could get an iPhone. If you wanted to drop $19,000 in a Vertu Pure Jet Red Gold, you could. So I know you're all crying out, what makes this phone so special, right?
Yeah.
Okay, it's an Android phone, so obviously it's already worth way more than an iPhone.
Right.
Although it is running Lollipop and not Marshmallow, at least right now. It is made of titanium, and it has red gold detailing, as in actual red gold on it.
Okay.
The power button is red gold. The volume controls are red gold.
Weird.
Yeah, like the buttons themselves are made of gold. It also has black ceramic as one of the materials, and sapphire crystal screen, and quilted jet calf leather on the back and sides of the phone. So when you say pure jet red gold, the red gold obviously for the accents, and then the jet being the calf leather.
Wow. Okay.
That leather, by the way, is handcrafted and, quote, sourced from the European Alps, end quote.
Sourced from the European Alps.
Yeah, that's why it's so expensive. You got to send people all the way to the European Alps to get the leather.
Oh, man. Okay, wait. Do you think that's worth it?
Well, I mean, clearly the cows in the European Alps are living a much better life than cows anywhere else, right?
Right.
So if you're going to get leather, you definitely want to get them for the. No, I don't think it's worth it.
What would you do if you had the phone?
I'd probably totally freak out and try and say, like, everyone needs to get like every mattress that's in a 5-mile radius and place it around me so that if I do drop this, it's not going to shatter and I'm not going to be out $20K. So here's some other stuff it includes.
Okay.
Each handset is actually handmade. So while you could buy one and I could buy one, assuming we came across $19,000, they might not be identical because they are handmade. And this way, it's very similar to luxury items like a Bentley.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, that's one of the attractions of these luxury cars is that they're made by hand. So they're not identical one to the next. The ringtones All right, this is going to make you roll your eyes. The ringtones were composed and performed by the London Symphony Orchestra.
Oh, I'm sorry, but seriously? Is the LSO that hard up?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, like between doing stuff for John Williams and ringtones for the Vertu Pure Jet Red Gold whatever thing.
How do you compose a ringtone?
I don't know.
How long is it? I have so many questions.
It's probably just the same ringtones that you hear on every other phone, just done by a full orchestra.
Oh wow. You know that,
do.
You've seen 30 Rock, of course, right?
Yes.
That seems like a Tracy Jordan
idea
of success.
I got the London Symphony Orchestra to play my ringtone. Liz Lemon?
That's real.
Yeah. So beyond that, it also comes with an 18-month subscription to a concierge service, which provides 24-hour assistance and gets you things like recommendations for things you should do while you're in a city, as well as priority booking for different events, including sporting events, concerts, shows.
This I had heard about because apparently it's far beyond what you would typically think of as, a hotel concierge or something. As in, they'll also get you into, they'll shut down some luxury stores for you?
Yeah. No, yeah. You can get completely like personalized exclusivity to different events as well. And also it puts you into a list essentially of folks who get invited to exclusive events. So you might end up like if you're the kind of person who drops this sort of cheddar on a phone, you might end up finding yourself on the invite list to some pretty fancy soirees.
So then if you're networking, okay, here I might not do this for everyone. I probably won't. It's maybe the only time I do this to justify the price. If you have a career that requires networking, right?
Sure.
With the in the rarefied air of the upper spheres of society.
Let's say you want to charm some high-level executives or producers of film or television or anything along those lines, sure.
Yeah, then this would be a fairly reasonable investment if it gets you in the room.
Yeah, it's an ugly phone, but it'll get you in there. It's also the tech specs of the phone put it behind other more common smartphones on the market. It's not like top of the line performance. It's not flagging way behind.
Yeah.
But it's nowhere close to, like, if you went out and bought a brand new smartphone in the regular like $400 to $600 range.
Okay, it's like a Samsung Galaxy 6.
Yeah, something like that then, or the latest Nexus phone, anything like that.
Yeah.
'Cause we're talking Android, that would actually outperform this phone. However, it doesn't come with that concierge service.
Oh, yeah.
So, and also you gotta keep in mind that phone is totes common, whereas the Vertu phone is a thing of luxury.
I'm gonna make an offer he can't refuse. Phone home. You built a time machine out of a DeLorean? Hey everybody, this is Chuck from Stuff You Should Know, and if you didn't guess, that was me doing bad impressions to talk about my new show, Movie Crush. It releases every Friday on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts, and each week I sit down with an awesome person to talk about their favorite movie. Go check it out. If you love movies, if you love great conversations, you're going to love Movie Crush.
So good so far. Let's try this one. Now this one's got a hint in the name. Okay. I love how your eyes go up every time we get to a new one.
I don't know.
Ben's like, it's like, this is just there's gonna be a point where this show just makes a turn for the worst.
I'm gonna
no
guess,
turning back.
I'm gonna guess wrong. Yeah.
No, this one's pretty easy because just think of the first word.
Okay.
Acapella Spheron Excalibur.
Acapella.
Yep. Acapella Spheron Excalibur. What kind of tech would that be?
A microphone, a speaker?
Speaker.
It's a speaker.
Yeah, actually a set of speakers. They're made by hand.
Oh, good.
Okay. They are 7 feet tall and weigh 1,364 pounds apiece. And they cost $455,000.
$455,000. Are these the ones that look like seashells?
If you were to strip away the outsides, yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why do they cost so much?
Because they supposedly have such amazing fidelity that it feels, and this is from the manufacturer, as if you are being caressed by the sound.
That's creepy.
Or if yeah, that's what I thought. Or if you turn it up, that it could knock you over with the intensity of the sound. Yeah, here's the thing.
Okay.
Here's the thing. And this goes way back in TechStuff lore. Chris Paulette and I did an episode ages and ages ago about the myths of audio fidelity. Mm-hmm. And largely we were talking about cables in that sense.
Right. Monster cables would be a big example.
Exactly, yeah. Do those high-priced cables, are they actually worth it? Do they have a greater performance? And the answer is not really detectable by human ears. Like, you might be able to hook up some very super sensitive sensors and quantifiably say, yes, I'm getting better performance, but it's not perceptible. Mm-hmm. Same sort of thing with these speakers, really. Not these speakers in particular, but speakers in general, is that once you get to a certain level of performance, it really is impossible for a person to tell. Like, if you did a double-blinded test where you put a person in a room, the person administering the test doesn't know which set of speakers are in that room. The person taking the test has no idea which set of speakers are in that room. And if you were to repeat that over and over, you would likely see that people would not be able to tell the difference beyond a certain level. Now, that's not to say that there aren't bad speakers.
Sure.
There are,
Clearly,
and there are good speakers, but it plateaus at a point, at least as far as human experience goes.
There's a diminishing return.
Exactly.
So, okay, in that case then, and I'm just being honest here again, and sometimes that'll make me sound like a rude person, but are you telling me people are paying almost $500,000 for something they literally are incapable of appreciating?
It's quite possible, and not unheard of. I mean, especially when it comes to speakers and sound systems. I think some people pride themselves on the concept of being an audiophile.
Sure.
That they appreciate sound, and somehow they appreciate it more than most people do. Mm-hmm. Perhaps even the vast majority of people.
Right.
And as part of that, they want to cater to that self-image. You know, this idea of sound. I love the effect of sound, and I totally get this. I mean, I love music, right? Right. And I definitely understand people who said they preferred older means of listening to music to MP3s, because for a long time, first of all, MP3 is a lossy format, meaning you're losing some information whenever you make that type of file. But those conversions have gotten better and better, plus there are other lossless formats out there where digital is no longer, I think, a meaningful distinction from analog. So
I see what you're saying.
So I would go that far as to say, if you do things correctly, you should not be able to tell the difference.
And there's also a psychological aspect, though, too.
People,
it's like some people will make tea or coffee a certain way.
Right.
And just because there's something comforting about that, they feel that it is the superior method.
I would argue very much that things like listening to vinyl records has a bit of the ritual involved in it, right?
I see, yeah.
And that ritualistic experience provides that sense of comfort and familiarity. So and I do that. I mean, I've got a collection of vinyl at home. I'm talking about this like as someone who I appreciate that experience, and that's part of it, right?
Okay.
It's not just the sound. It's not even necessarily related to whatever the record is. Mm-hmm. It's the experience of putting that all together. And I think there is a value to that. And obviously digital doesn't really, I mean, there's not really a comparison where you push play on a touch screen and then the music plays. Right. It's not the same thing as taking the sleeve out of a cover and then the vinyl out of the sleeve and then placing that on the platter and moving the needle over. And if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, you need to look at a turntable. Although those have come back. I mean,
surely everyone knows.
One of those technologies I used to joke about, ask your parents, but now a lot of people know about it.
$455,000.
All right, well let's up the ante.
Okay.
$455,000. That's chicken feed.
Yeah, it's a few farthings.
So the next one's going to be a television.
Okay.
I'm telling you straight out. The name of the television is the Stuart Hughes Prestige HD Supreme Rose Edition.
What is that, like a bad Google translation?
Stuart Hughes would be the company. The Prestige HD Supreme Rose Edition is the name of the television.
Okay.
So it costs $2.25 million.
What?
It's a TV that costs $2.25 million.
We might as well just get the Element at that point. That has 2 TVs in it.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, so what do we get? Sell me on this.
All right, it's a 55-inch television. So it's not even,
What?
it's not even ridiculously huge, right?
Right.
Like you were expecting it, it's going to be like a 173-inch TV.
Yeah,
no,
that would be a wall of a house.
No, it's 55-inch television.
Oh, okay.
It's got 28 kilograms of 18-karat gold in the frame. And that's primarily, that 28 kilograms. Wow. It's more than 50 pounds of gold.
What is this obsession with putting gold on things that don't need gold?
I guess it means that your TV, even as it becomes obsolete, is still insanely valuable.
Oh, that's true.
The frame is studded with 72 1-carat diamonds. There are also sunstone and amethysts in that frame. Between the outer frame and the screen, imagine you've got like a frame, like a picture frame. The screen is inset, so this would be almost like the mat of if you were looking at a framed picture. You know how that has the mat surrounding it. Well, the mat would be made out of alligator skin that is hand sewn to the frame. Hand sewn.
I'm sorry. That just seems like such a left field idea. They're creating the TV at Stuart Hughes, and they say something's missing.
Can you kill an alligator? Can we do that? Can we kill an alligator? My own personal opinion.
Yeah.
I think it's hideous.
Oh, really?
I think it's hideous.
It sounds a little garish.
I wish now, what I really wish I had done, and it's a regret that I'm going to have to live with. I wish I had printed out pictures of each of these things so I could hand them to you after I explain what it is to get your reaction on those. But I mean, this is an audio podcast, so there would only be limited value in that anyway.
Right, for you guys listening, but also that would probably increase the likelihood of me cursing, trying.
We're going to have a lot of bleeps in this episode.
Assiduously not to curse.
But the Stuart Hughes Prestige HD, which is Prestige HD is altogether, Supreme Rose Edition. You go check that out, listeners, and take a look, and you tell me if you think it looks beautiful. I said that it looks like the Hearst Castle of televisions. And if you've ever been to Hearst Castle, you know what I'm talking about. William Randolph Hearst had way more money than he had taste. Mm-hmm. If he saw something that he liked, he bought it, and he put it in a room, whether it went with everything else or not. He would go for Baroque. Okay, that's a terrible joke. One of the TVs I was going to mention, but I decided ultimately not to, because if you do a search for most expensive televisions, one of the ones that pops up pretty consistently is a Panasonic television that's 152 inches. But I didn't want to include it in this because I'm specifically talking about consumer technology.
Okay, yeah.
The Panasonic 152-inch plasma display is really intended for businesses. So for like a big company that wants to have a huge screen on a big wall, that kind of thing.
For a conference room or something.
Yeah, or even just as a prestige thing for the company, whatever.
I see. Yeah.
You know, but it was, or maybe it's a media company and they want to be able to show off the stuff they do.
I see.
But it's a $500,000 display. But it's 152 inches. It's a plasma display. So I don't really think of that as a consumer product, which is why I didn't have it as an official one.
And you're not going to get it.
No, but here's an actual TV that you can buy as a consumer.
Okay.
It is one of the most expensive consumer televisions out there that is not bedecked with jewels.
I'm back in.
It is the Samsung UN105S9B. That's the way TVs are these days.
What a sexy name.
The original MSRP for this was $260,000. More than $250,000 for this television.
When it premiered?
When it first came out. Right now, though, if you go to Samsung's page, act quickly, because it now lists the suggested retail at $149,999.99, but you can scoop it up for a mere $119,999.99. So just under $120,000.
Oh, we're back in the game.
Saving $30,000 right there. And by saving that $30,000, you can go and then buy that Vertu red gold phone. And
And we can go, we'll have to take our TV with us to the exclusive party.
Yes, exactly. Just say, look, I'm rich because I also have this monstrosity. It's a 105-inch television, so this one is significantly larger.
Right.
It's 4K Ultra HD. It's a smart TV with built-in Wi-Fi, and this is the one that is a bendable screen where you push a button and the screen bends inward, it curves inward.
That's really cool, though.
Yeah. It's pretty nifty.
That explains to me some of the appeal.
Right.
And then I have a question, too. 'Cause
Sure.
I was wondering about this, and I'm glad you went to TVs. This is something a lot of listeners are probably wondering as well.
Yeah.
Is there also a diminishing return with 4K, with the quality of video?
That's an excellent question. I would argue yes. However, it's dependent on a couple of different things.
Okay.
The size of the screen, because the larger you go, the higher the resolution you need in order to not have that quality degrade.
I see.
Right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So if I have a 40-inch TV and it's at 720, that might look great to me. And I might think, all right, well, I'm going to go to a much larger TV. I'm going up to 60-inch television. Mm-hmm. But now I want to have a 2K or 4K screen, probably a 4K screen because 2K really didn't go anywhere, but a 4K screen. You would be able to tell the difference because it's sharper and it's bigger. And especially if you don't change how far away you're sitting from the screen, like if you're sitting just as far away from your 60-inch as you were your 40-inch, then the bigger it gets, the more likely you're going to detect any sort of problems with quality. But that being said, if you are looking at or at least for me, I have found at CES where you would presumably tune these televisions to be high performing, so that you really attract people. I have looked at HD TVs next to 2K, 4K, 8K sets. And at an equal distance and using equal sizes, I can't tell I can't really distinguish between them. Like if you had covered up the labels and didn't tell me which one was which, I probably wouldn't be able to identify them. If I got really close, I could, because the closer you get, the more you can see you can tell how good the resolution is.
Yeah.
But again, so it depends on screen size, how close you are sitting, and also just calibrating your TV. If you have someone professionally calibrate your television so that it's going to give you the best experience in whatever environment you are in, that makes a huge difference.
Wow.
I have not done that, by the way.
I was going to ask, did you have someone come to your house?
No,
to calibrate?
I did not. Mostly because the room I'm in, the light changes so dramatically.
Oh, yeah.
Because where my cable hookup is near a big window, like a floor to ceiling window. And even with window treatment on that, a lot of sunlight will come through in the daytime, and at night it's totally different. So it would be hard to calibrate it in a way that would be satisfying for both experiences. So I just kind of mediocre it.
No, hopefully this amazing piece of television technology will calibrate itself, or have someone that, I almost said someone that comes with it.
Yeah,
someone who installs it for you.
You open up the box and some poor person is just hunched over inside the box saying, all right, I'm ready to calibrate your television.
Oh no, Dobby over here.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah, and then you give Dobby a sock and he goes off on his way. Also, it can upscale images. So in other words, you can look at something like HD content and turn it into Ultra HD content. And it just does it by kind of interpreting what the missing pixels would be.
Okay.
So it's not perfect, right? Upscaling has never been perfect, but it can be very good.
It seems interesting.
Yeah.
But I don't know if frankly, you know what? I'm not swayed. I don't think I would buy it because it sounds like only the edges of the screen bend.
Yes. It bends in toward you. Yeah.
Okay.
It's not like you can wrap it around a column or something and have like a circular television or something.
In which case, that would be a steal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
That's not it. All right. Well, here's your next one.
Yeah.
The Leica M9P edition Hermes Série Limitée Jean-Louis Dumas, or Dumas if you prefer. What kind of device do you think that might be?
Will you say the whole name again?
Leica M9P edition Hermes Série Limitée Jean-Louis Dumas.
Leica.
Yeah.
Hermes.
Leica is spelled, by the way, I may be mispronouncing that. It's Leica.
I think you may have stumped me, Jonathan.
This one's a tough one.
Just Hermes made me want to guess if it was a bag, but
Right, it's not. Which makes you think of the Saturday Night Live sketches.
right, exactly.
I'm Brecky.
Okay, I'm just gonna take a.
It's probably Hermes actually. So I'm so gauche.
I'll take a shot. Gauche is such a weird word because people who know the word gauche are inherently not gauche.
Well,
you know?
I like where you're going.
Okay. Okay. So sorry, that's just some business for me to try to cold read you. And
I'm not giving anything away.
I know it's not working very well. I'm gonna say a few things and see if you blink.
No, you just gotta have to give a guess.
All right. Is it a laptop?
No. It is a point and shoot camera.
I should have known. Leica. I should have known.
Yeah, it's a point and shoot camera. It's digital camera, so it's not a film camera. And it costs $50,000.
Wow.
It's a $50,000 point and shoot digital camera. It has calfskin leather that has been hand sewn onto the device.
What is it with these people?
It comes with multiple lenses that are cased in anodized silver. It's very, very, I mean, it looks beautiful. You look at it and you're just like, well, that is a work of art.
Okay.
But still, $50,000 for a point and shoot camera.
I'm just glad it doesn't have a bunch of gold on it.
Yeah, no, it does not have a bunch of gold on it.
So,
however, if you want to talk about a bunch of gold, how about the Nintendo Wii Supreme, which is covered in 22 karat gold?
Why?
2,500 grams of 22 karat gold.
Why?
The front buttons are made out of diamond.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's different. That's crazy. It works, right? It has to work.
It does work. There are only 3 of them in existence. And it costs £299,995 sterling, which if you were to convert to the US dollar is about $465,000 for a Nintendo Wii. Also done by Stuart Hughes, the same company that did the ridiculous TV. Yeah.
So they switched the alligator skins just for TVs.
Yeah, no, there's no alligator skin, which is weird because, you could have done like Yoshi's Revenge or something and packaged it in alligator skin.
That's smart. See?
Yeah.
You should be on their
Theme
team.
it.
I'm just seeing them now going, this Wii needs something else. Can we kill an alligator? We just killed the last one.
Let's melt down some more gold.
Someone go to the Alps.
Yeah, they're actually, they've also done the same sort of thing with other consoles, but apparently, according to their website, this is the most expensive video game console in the world. The Nintendo Wii Supreme.
You know what? This might date you and I, but do you remember, the Neo Geo?
Yes, where the actual game cartridges were like several $100s.
Yeah, I was so envious of that, and my parents let me try to pitch them on getting one, and I tried my best to justify how this would be an investment for our family.
If you don't know the Neo Geo console, so like the original consoles cost, $100 or more, depending on what you were looking at. But Neo Geo was way more expensive, and the individual games were way more expensive. The individual games cost more than other video game consoles did at the time.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah,
and they had, but it was almost the same thing we're seeing now in microcosm because it was the exclusivity of it.
Yeah.
Over the actual merit, which makes me want to ask: is that with the Wii, it's just a Wii, right?
Yeah.
There's nothing in the specs that's different.
No, it can't. It doesn't like upscale it to HD. It's regular Nintendo Wii.
I wonder, it probably wouldn't be possible in this age, but what if there was some exclusive video game content that only came, like the most rarefied, elite DLC, I guess.
This actually makes me think. I almost included it for this this podcast, but I forgot actually. But when the iPhone first came out and the App Store first opened up, do you remember that there was an app where you could buy a Jewel for like $999 or something like that?
Yeah, it was just a red.
Yeah, it didn't do anything.
Yeah,
it was just to show that you could blow $1,000 on an app.
Oh man, I was wondering if that was going to come up in this podcast.
I thought about doing it. I just forgot to add it to the list. These are the things I looked at were really consumer electronics as opposed to an app that gets added on to an existing product.
Yeah, I see. Well, this is okay. So far right now, Right now I'm torn. I'm trying to think of which of these things I would pick if I could only pick one to have.
Yeah.
And I'd love to hear what you think about it too at the end.
Okay, yeah, it sounds great. Yeah, at the end we'll discuss which of these ridiculous or extravagant or luxurious items we would want for ourselves. Yeah. That sounds good. All right, so the next one, this one you mentioned laptop. You guessed laptop on the last one. This one is a PC, but a desktop PC.
Okay.
The Zeus Jupiter. It's a PC that cost $750,000.
It's a PC?
Yeah, it's not even a really strong one, especially compared to today's standards.
I suppose it's handmade.
Close. It's plated with platinum.
But why?
It's a PC case that's plated with platinum and studded with diamonds.
Oh, great. Okay.
And light can come through, and the studded diamonds make constellations on the case. So when you turn the computer on and the light comes through, it looks like there's like Orion there, that kind of thing.
Oh, that's a nifty idea.
So it has an Intel 3 gigahertz E680, 6850 Core 2 Duo CPU. Only 2 gigabytes of DDR2 memory.
What?
A terabyte hard drive. So obviously, if you were to compare this to like even a lower upper tier gaming rig, that would blow this thing out of the water.
Is this older?
Yeah. This was originally announced probably around 2009, 2010, something like that. But as far as I can tell, there has not been another computer announced, personal computer, mind you, announced that is more expensive. Now, that's why I wanted to say, like, these are expensive toys. They may not be the most expensive because, honestly, trying to track that down and verify it is really tricky. For all of these, I wanted to go to multiple sources to make sure, preferably going to the primary source, which is where I found out about the Vertu phone, because the original one I had on that list was only $10,200. And then I found there was a model that was more expensive than that.
Atlanta, Georgia, 1979.
Are you scared?
Yes, sir.
One by one, kids are going missing, with no explanation.
A black 15-year-old male who lived in the same area where 3 other children had disappeared.
There was a real-life monster on the loose, and the city of Atlanta demanded answers.
Inner city kids get killed. Unfortunately, nobody cares.
By 1981, the FBI was involved in one of the largest manhunts in U.S. history, and eventually, they put one man behind bars. But nearly 40 years later, this case has left more questions than answers, in what may be Atlanta's darkest secret.
I don't know today whether he's innocent or guilty.
From the producers of Up and Vanished and How Stuff Works, we present an all-new podcast, Atlanta Monster. Subscribe to Atlanta Monster right now on Apple Podcasts and be the first to hear it on January 5th.
Here's one that I actually knew about before I did this list. And it's nowhere near, it's not in the same ballpark as the other stuff we've talked about. Okay. So not thousands of dollars, but did you hear about the game Steel Battalion?
Yes.
For the Xbox.
I may be thinking of a battle mech thing.
Yes, that's it.
Oh yeah,
okay, it was a mech simulator. You had and the reason why it was expensive, by the way, it was $200, which actually today you look at video games like, say, Rock Band, not that expensive. But if you were to look at Steel Battalion, it was a $200 game for the Xbox. It was the most expensive game for the Xbox, and the reason was it came with this controller that had 40 buttons total.
Yeah.
So it was like a panel that had 2 joysticks on it, plus a whole bunch of buttons and switches, and 3 pedals that you would control with your feet. And it was a mech simulation game where you were simulating being the pilot of a mech. And I never got to play it. I never saw it. I don't know anyone who had it.
I'm so jealous, or I'm so envious of the people who have that, though. I wanted to play that so bad.
When I heard about it, I thought, well, that sounds really cool. And it also reminded me of, I think there was like a virtual reality video game arcade type experience where you could go and do mech battles.
Oh,
like
wow.
it was like
cool.
6-on-6 type mech battles or whatever, but it was a custom made experience where you went into you had to actually go to a place and play it. It wasn't like a home game thing. But this was something that made me think this is about as close to that experience as you could have in your own home. For comparison, though, the Rock Band 3 complete set, if you wanted to have everything from Rock Band 3, was $360.
Wow.
And that's because you had the game, the drums, 2 guitars, a microphone, plus the keyboard controller. The current version of Rock Band 4 that just came out, is less than that. They don't have the keyboard controller anymore. It's still more than $200, but it's not $360.
And Steel Battalion, when it came out, it was it set the precedent for stuff like that.
I'm going to stick with video games.
Okay.
Talk about, we're going to go up another notch to a very expensive game.
All right.
Resident Evil 6 Platinum Edition. This was only available in Japan. Okay.
Okay.
It's more than $360. It's $1,300.
$1,300?
$1,300 for a game.
Does that, please tell me the box is not made of platinum?
No, but it comes with a leather jacket replica of the character Leon Kennedy's jacket in the game.
Really?
Yeah. So
That's
it
crazy.
came with a leather jacket. But I won't spend $1,300 on a leather jacket either.
Right.
Like, unless the leather jacket is actually made out of gold.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, I am overjoyed.
Yeah.
After all we've been through together, that it is not coated in precious gems or metals.
Man, you're going to hate the next one.
Like, do I just rip off the Band-Aid?
Well, one other thing I have to mention about the Platinum Edition is that it also came with 4 phone cases modeled after Resident Evil characters. So, I mean, there's where you make up the value.
Oh,
right?
There you go.
All right, so we're getting to the most expensive video game of all time, although it's only because of the packaging.
I don't know this.
The Grid 2 Mono Edition. It's a racing game for the PlayStation 3.
Okay.
It cost £125,000 sterling, which is just under $200,000. Because it came with a supercar.
Oh, come on.
The supercar was a custom-made BAC mono, back mono.
Really?
And had a max speed of 170 miles per hour. And it went 0 to 60 miles per hour in 2.8 seconds.
Okay. That I feel like is worth it.
Yeah, if you're gonna drop $193,000 on a video game, at least it came with a supercar. It also included a PS3 just in case you didn't have one. So that was also added. And you got custom made racing gear that you could wear.
What?
Yeah.
This is one of my favorites so far.
Okay, good. Yeah, because it's not just the game.
No, it's a great deal. It's a package deal.
Now I'm going to kind of move on into because we talked a lot about consumer tech with like entertainment and stuff. I wanted to finish out with something a little more down to earth. I thought we'd talk about something like kitchen gadgets, kitchen stuff, kitchen consumer tech.
I love kitchen gadgets.
Now we know that appliances and major kitchen purchases can be pretty expensive.
Sure, yeah.
For example, the La Cornue Grand Palais stove range costs a starting price for one is $47,300 for the cooking range.
Just
shy of $50,000
for the range.
It includes both a gas oven and an electric oven. So this is wide. It's like 2 of these.
Okay.
It's like 2 regular range stoves like next to each other. It has a lava rock grill, electric plate stovetop, and it's made by hand.
Of course it is.
From cast iron, steel, and brass with porcelain enamel.
Damn it.
It looks very, it looks very fancy. It doesn't appeal to me. It's not my style.
Uh-huh.
But the one that was in the picture was like this beautiful color of red with gold embellishment and like the handles for the range top were gold and that kind of thing. And I thought it was pretty, but actually I guess it was technically brass, not gold. But I thought it was pretty, but it wasn't the kind of style that appeals to me.
Is it a French company?
Yes.
Is it? Okay. This is just a very, very brief thing, but a side note. One of my friends, when she was living in New York, she was doing well, and it's not that easy when you move into New York as a young person to make enough money to live there.
Sure.
So she tried a couple different jobs, and the job she ended up working at for a very long time was a place that only sold bespoke doorknobs. That was their entire business.
That blows my mind.
And
that there could be an entire business around that.
Yeah. Yep.
Talk about cottage industry.
I mean, apparently it worked well, so she would just ride the train to Manhattan every day and sell these doorknobs. or, or project manage, whatever. So it's just strange because this company, it sounds like they might just be artisan.
Yeah. They focus on making these sort of luxury high-end kitchen appliances, specifically ranges and
$50,000 though. You could do so much other stuff.
Well, how about a $41,000 refrigerator?
I'm okay.
This is a different company though. Is the Meningini Arrediamenti refrigerator. Actually, I guess it's Arrediamenti refrigerator.
What is, okay, I'll buy it. What does it do?
It keeps food cold. It's a refrigerator.
That's it? I'm leaving. I'm done.
It actually looks like an armoire. It doesn't look like a refrigerator. It looks like a big piece of furniture. It looks like an armoire. And it has three doors and a couple of porthole cabinet type things. So there's actually a pantry, a refrigerator, an icebox, all incorporated in this thing. So when you look at it, it looks like, like cabinets that have the kind of slatted doors.
Yeah.
Okay, it looks like one of those, except when you open it, it's a refrigerator inside as opposed to a closet or wardrobe or something.
Okay.
But it definitely looks more like a piece of furniture than your typical refrigerator does. And obviously this was more about creating a sense of style for someone's luxury home.
Sure, for someone who wants to look as though they are above the common.
For someone who I think I can almost certainly guarantee you has never cooked a darn thing in their lives.
Possibly.
They have people to do that for them.
They do.
Yeah. Or how about the Hamaker double espresso machine? That's only $8,000.
$8,000?
Yeah.
Okay, so why? This is the thing that I've noticed.
Yeah.
And this goes back. It's strange that there's a common theme here.
Yeah.
About comparative happiness or perception.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know that there's this niche of incredibly expensive espresso machines.
Yeah, it's funny. Well, just incredibly expensive anything, right? Like you'll find versions of stuff that the price is 10 times or more what you would find in the general consumer version of that thing.
Mm-hmm.
And often, like you start looking at it and you think, all right, what sort of stuff sets this apart from the consumer version, like the regular consumer version where you would go to like a Best Buy to go and purchase this, or you buy it online off Amazon or something. Often it's the handmade part that tends to be one thing that because it becomes this thing that's made by artists as opposed to made by a machine. And there's a definite perceived value in that.
Yeah,
that someone dedicated their time and skill into creating this thing. Whether or not that makes it valuable to you is another question, but it shows that there was care given to the creation of whatever it was. And I think again, status is a big deal. I don't think that most of the things we're talking about here are working at a level noticeably higher than what you would get in the normal consumer market.
Like their objective performance is not superior.
Exactly. I would say some of them may be. Some of them you're talking about stuff where it's on the cutting edge of technology. Sure. Right?
Sure.
Like the supercar. Gonna go faster than your general car does.
Sure, yeah.
Though you can buy one of those separately without the game for significantantly less. Well, yeah. I mean, like $20,000 less. That's significant.
See, the thing is you go for the used ones.
That's a Vertu phone right there. Yeah, exactly. So this espresso machine in particular is topped with a copper dome on top of which perches a brass eagle. And it includes this one. Okay. I love coffee.
Yes.
All right. I'm not an espresso snob. I'm not a big espresso fan, but I do like coffee. Mm-hmm. But there's certain things in this that really appeal to me as a tech nerd and as someone who likes coffee.
Okay.
It has a microprocessor in it that controls exactly how much water is allowed to flow through the grind. So you can tailor make the strength of your espresso through a touchpad to exactly what you want, and it controls it to the drop. So that sort of precision. Now you can argue that making coffee is not like precise chemistry, right? It's not because the quality of the bean is going to change over, and how old the bean is, that's going to affect it as well. So it's not like a chemistry experiment where you're going to get the exact same result every time, assuming that you follow the right protocols.
Right. Yeah.
But I like the idea that you can at least have the illusion of control in your life. I need that, Ben. I need the illusion of control.
I hope that's their motto.
Yeah.
The illusion of control.
Also, it's a little hefty. It weighs 183 pounds.
So then I wonder, so this is really for, I guess these people would be prosumers at this point.
Yeah, it actually said, well, it's funny because it's really designed to make like high volume amount of espresso. So you would imagine that you would see this more in like a high end coffee shop, like a boutique coffee shop type place. But as I was looking at it, because it was talking about it could make, I forget how many cups of espresso within a couple of minutes. It was crazy. It was a lot, more than any human would need to drink. But it said it also could do, 1 cup serving deals, like the little pods, like an espresso pod. So with
so
that,
it scales.
Yeah, with that you'd say, well, I guess if you really wanted this, you could get it. I almost didn't include it because I thought it was a little closer to prosumer than consumer. But as a coffee lover, I had to add something in.
I remember somebody talking about this art of coffee tasting.
Yeah.
And I had a stranger when I was out on Thursdays. I go to the bar across the street from here and do the crossword.
Yeah.
Because I'm living on the edge.
Yeah.
And there was some guy who was an expert in coffee, and he was telling me about how difficult it is to control those variables. And I think there's a market for an $8,000 espresso machine.
We had we here at How Stuff Works that one time had a guy from Batdorf and Bronson. Who came in and did a whole thing on coffee tasting as well. That's a local roaster here in Atlanta that makes crazy good coffee. Final item on the list.
Oh man, okay.
Not huge. I didn't want to do like the build up to the biggest. This is actually comparatively speaking to most of the things, modestly expensive.
Okay.
The Blendtec Stealth Blender. This is one of the latest blenders on the market.
Okay.
It does not have any like platinum case or diamonds or gold.
Great.
None of that stuff. So based upon its design and performance alone, it is priced at $2,330 for a blender.
Does the sound of a blender bother someone that much?
It in fact does have the sound control enclosure so that you don't hear the blender.
Sound control enclosure.
Yeah. It's actually called a sound enclosure. Is what they call it. The sound enclosure. It has a 15 amp motor, touchpad controls, and it has a USB port. So you can upload or download up to 36 custom blend cycles. So if you want to make something by first like going super fast and then slowing down or whatever, you can tinker to your heart's content.
That just seems so unnecessary. It seems like it would take more time
to do that than to just hit a button for a second and then hit a different button.
Yeah. It seems like you wouldn't really see any results from that for the first 5 years.
Then if you make enough money where a $2,330 blender seems like a prudent expense, you don't have time to push buttons.
You know what? This should be my opening to ask for a raise. I should go, guys, we spend a lot of time pushing buttons.
Yeah, or you go and say, listen, I can't even afford to buy a blender.
Hey.
You don't say which blender.
All I want is a watch.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah, exactly. I have my eye on this one watch. I mean, it's not even that modern. Like, it's
used, in fact.
What's funny is when I started looking at this, I also looked at things like the most expensive smartwatch on there, which is nothing. It's like $600, $700, something like that. When after you've been looking at antique watches or luxury watches that have super rare materials worked into them, a lot of the electronics just doesn't even come close to the same expense because
it's strange.
You figure it, you're like, well, unless you've got something crazy going on inside, those electronics are going to be very much the same from device to device. So that's not going to dictate how expensive your gadget can be. You have to look at other things like the actual material it's made from.
Right, yeah, and it's an interesting thing too because although clearly I'm not on board with this put gold on everything movement, I understand that in some parts of the world that's very, very popular. just because of the intrinsic value of the material, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, we've covered everything that was on my list. Obviously, there's tons more we could talk about.
Oh
but
man,
it would go on so long.
I'm having trouble picking one.
Yeah, you got to pick one. That was your idea.
I know, man. I'm cursing past.
It also doesn't help but you as much because you haven't seen pictures of these things. Maybe one or two you might have seen pictures of in the past.
Other ones. Is the element ugly? That's my first question on the outside.
The Element Palazzo?
Yeah.
I'm not crazy about it, but
you guys, I'm watching Jonathan across the table trying to be fair.
Well, I'm trying to pull up an image of it. One thing is that whenever I see images of this thing, they all look like artist renderings. I don't think I've ever seen an actual picture of the thing itself.
Yeah.
But here, I'll turn this around. It looks kind of
a
little weird and futuristic, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. Oh man, that's.
Yeah, and like I said, I've only seen artist renderings or like these little CGI computer graphics style things.
It looks like a ride at Epcot.
There we go. That looks more.
Wow, that's. Wow. No.
If you want to look this up, by the way, folks, in order to do it, you need to know how it's spelled.
Right.
Because it's spelled in a jerk way. Element is spelled with two M's. It's Elemment, and then Palazzo, Palazzo. Yeah, I don't find the design to be that appealing. But if that's if it meets your desire for the RV of your dreams, that's fine.
I need to have. I want the idea of a house without the commitment of a house.
Right. Also, if the Popo are interested in you, you can pick up and move to a different jurisdiction.
That's true, and blend in seamlessly.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I'm gonna. No. I'm torn. You know what?
I know what I'm leaning toward, but go ahead.
I'm gonna double down. I will take the Element.
Okay. All right. So $3.1 million, we will charge you on your way out.
Okay.
I've reached a point in my life where I don't really want to acquire more things necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
Like the idea of buying more stuff doesn't have a lot of appeal to me. In fact, my wife and I, we tend to save our money for experiences, like a trip to someplace.
Yeah.
Or we did something that was fantastic. We rented a small cabin, modest cabin, not super expensive, that was multiple bedrooms, and invited some of our friends to just hang out for a weekend in the Georgia woods.
Oh, that's cool.
It was great. I was like, this is what I want to spend my money on, are these kind of experiences, because stuff doesn't really bring me joy anymore. I just reached the point where I'm like, well, where am I going to put it? But if I had a house that could accommodate it, I have to admit that the refrigerator I mentioned is pretty nifty. Like I like the design actually did appeal to me.
Yeah.
So that one would be the one that I would probably go with. It's not like it's super like jaw-droppingly fancy, but I like it. So I'm going to show you a picture here.
And that part of it too is, let me
That's
see.
what the outside looks like. So you see, it looks kind of like an
pretty
armoire.
good, yeah.
Right? So that's the outside. Let me show you what it looks like when it's all opened up.
Oh, you're excited about this.
Yeah, well, because I think it's pretty.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah, it's
okay.
pretty, right?
I just got a sense of scale there too.
Yeah, it's huge.
Wow, that's fantastic.
It's
like
much
a
larger.
transformer.
Yeah, it's like, folks, since you can't see, for this one, if you want to look it up, let me spell it out for you. The Menengini is Menegghini, and the Arredamenti is Arredamenti. Look that up. It's about the width of like 3 regular refrigerators next to each other. And the doors open outward, and you've got, it's gorgeous. It looks very nice. And that's something that appeals to me on a level where I'd say, all right, I could go in for that if I had crazy amounts of money and a house that could hold it. My house is not of a size where that would not fit anywhere in my house.
I know. I was just thinking, I don't know. When we go on a road trip, I'm not sure if it'll fit in the element.
Yeah, we might just have to strap it to the rooftop deck.
All class. That's what our vanity license plate will say.
Yeah, so this was a lot of fun. I mean, it was one of those things where I just thought, let's do something kind of silly for the upcoming holiday season and look at some of the excess that you can find in consumer electronics. I wish that more people could go to CES to see the ridiculous stuff.
Yeah, you see a lot of weird stuff each year.
Yeah, and that's the stuff that's fun to either make fun of or to just, kind of gawk at or whatever. But it's one of those deals where you're going to see a lot of stuff that's all going to kind of blend together, right? Like lots of legitimately gorgeous electronics, but there's tons of them, like tons of TVs, tons of stereo systems, that kind of stuff. It's when you come across something really unusual that you realize, well, this is special. It may not be something that appeals to me directly, but it's different enough, and maybe it's crazy expensive, which is always fun.
So, wait.
Yeah.
When are you getting the fridge?
Yeah. Well, when you and I are on that Forbes list of highest paid YouTubers, then maybe at that point I'll start looking around.
Oh, in the meantime, I just want to make a suggestion.
Yeah.
And I want to talk over you, but listeners, as always, thanks for having me over as well. I just want you guys to know, no pressure. I think I can speak for both of us here, Jonathan. If you have a used copy of Steel Battalion, and you would like our mailing address,
we will give it to you.
I mean, wouldn't that be cool?
We'd have to track down an Xbox, but apart from that, I'd be totally down with it. Like, I don't have my Xbox anymore.
Yeah.
I got rid of that. I've got the 360 and I've got the Xbox One, but I don't have the original anymore.
I don't either. We should have held on to those.
Yeah.
But
we had one for the office. I have no idea where that one went.
I think someone took it, honestly.
Probably, yeah. Yeah, our office, before we moved to where we are now, we had an area called Area 51 in the office, and that's where all of our games and goodies and toys and stuff were. Here's the thing, folks. Peek behind the curtain. There was like a 99.9% chance that you would not see anyone from the editorial side of the business in that room unless there was a meeting.
Exactly.
The sales and marketing people, however, broke that foosball table at least twice.
I always felt like that kind of thing was a trap.
Yeah, exactly. Like, this is here for you. And then if you actually went in, they'd be like, all right, let's just, did not meet expectations on the employee review.
Oh man, that was cool though. But yeah, seriously, if you're not using Steel Battalion, it's been I'm so glad you said it's been one of my childhood dreams to play that game.
I would love to hear from our listeners if any of you have played that game, if you owned it, what your perspective was on it. Was it a good game? Was it worth the $200? I would argue that if you have really fun groups of friends, that something like Rock Band is certainly worth the money because of the experience you have, the shared experience you have with your friends playing together.
Yeah.
Like there's something really compelling about that. And I don't have people over at my house, so I have never I've gone to other places where they've had it, and I've had fun playing Rock Band. But since I never have anyone over at my house, I've never bought it.
I just love how you made your house sound like the Forbidden City or something.
Don't come to my house. I got a story I'll tell you when we're off the air. All right, so thank you, Ben, for coming on to the show. I appreciate you being the guinea pig and suffering through this. Listeners, if there's any particular extravagant tech that you ever saw that you think is interesting and merits mentioning on a list like this, write in and tell me, because I'll do a follow-up and I'll talk about some of the other things that you guys are aware of that I did not cover. Or if there's anything specific you would like me to cover in future episodes of Tech Stuff, or guests or interviews, anything like that, let me know. Send me an email. This is the email address you can send it to: techstuff@howstuffworks.com. Or drop me a line on Facebook or Twitter or Tumblr. I use TechStuff, HSW at all three. And I'll talk to you again really soon.
For more on this and thousands of other topics, visit howstuffworks.com.
Hey there, podcast listeners.
I'm Will Pearson, and as always, I'm joined by my good friend Mangesh Hattikudur. Every week on Part-Time Genius, we answer big questions, like, which country has the secret to the smartest students?
And in that show, we tackle smaller, equally important questions like, is wearing sneakers bad for your education? Should schools keep investing in janitors? And why does no one do homework anymore?
Every episode is jam-packed with incredible stories and hilarious facts, all as we try to nail down a serious topic.
So check us out already. You can download Part-Time Genius on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts.